Hi, welcome to the Modern Renaissance Man Show. I'm Ben Copeland, the Modern Renaissance Man. We have a new president. It's not broken, it's Barackin. So let's all cheer for President Barackin Obama. We can't blame George, so we'll just say it's Barackin now. Anyway, CMS, our local school system, can't manage stuff. Guess what they're doing now? They're buying books in Cambodian language, and in addition to the Spanish language, and I think they got Vietnamese language, and I heard Laotian. And now they've come out and said, well, we think students are going to have to start buying some of their own books because the cost of books and to help keep costs down for CMS. Why are you buying these special books? I thought English was the language we taught in this country. CMS can't manage, you seem like you can't manage your books. I know you can't manage your budget. Hollywood Gorman, teach English in our schools. Get English books. If they can't speak English, get tutors to teach them how to speak English. Other friends that we have now, have you noticed the energy commercials that are on TV? All the gas companies are all our friends. Have you noticed that? They come out and say, well, if you have a 401k, you probably own some gas stock. Well, if you have a 401k and own some gas stock and the other kind of stock, it probably looks pretty bad because somebody else is getting the money because it's not going into the 401ks. It's on the library, on the elevator the other day, and we're talking about there's no really any more 401ks. They're all sort of 4Os or even down to the 4. So you might have a 4K and not even a 401k. Speaking of money and Wall Street and 401ks, how about this? You know, you can smoke some pot and get caught, and you'll go to jail. You can rip people off by billions and billions of dollars, and you can stay in a plush hotel. Now, does that make sense? We've got this guy up here that basically ripped off all these people's money. He's living high on the hog. He's sending jewelry out with his family. But you know what? Some poor old person out on the street hadn't been caught smoking a joint of marijuana. Well, they'll probably go to jail for a year. Yeah. This guy probably won't see any time at all.
Backwards.
I think we got some inequity here going on with that. Talking about other inequities, how about this guy that's going to be our new treasurer? I'm going to talk about him some more in just a moment here. I think his name's Ginther. Just got it basically approved in January for treasurer of the United States. Here's a guy that between 2000 and 2007, 2008 forgot to pay his taxes 4 times.
It was an honest mistake.
That's an honest mistake. This guy basically kills me. I'll tell you what, I've been filing taxes since I was, I think, 18. I don't think I've ever even thought about the idea of forgetting. I might have wanted to, especially after I went and did the paperwork. How can you be this kind of person who makes all this kind of money and forget, honestly? Of course, he paid some of them, I understand, right before he's confirmed, pay his back taxes. I don't think I want somebody in charge of the Treasury who out of 7 to 8 years forgets 4 times to pay his taxes. If it sounds like I'm starting to get on a soapbox, I believe I will on that one. What we'll talk about tonight is executives and bailouts. The U.S. government has to stop participating in the scam of corporate executives getting millions of taxpayer money for poor performance. I predicted last October 2008 that when they started talking about the bailout, if you saw the show, that we were going to hit this situation where the greedy were going to get more money, these executives are going to get more money, and we're going to watch the Americans lose out of it. It's even worse than I predicted. It's worse than I imagined. For example, former Merrill Lynch CEO John Thain paid, and this is pulled this off the internet, you can find this, pretty much everybody's reporting this, $1,200 for a trash can. He overhauled his office, and this is money that basically comes from the bailout. $1,200 for a trash can. It's more than my car I just bought. he made an office makeover of $1.2 million. He spent $4 billion of the bailout money to give bonuses to the executives of Merrill Lynch. They're poor performers. Why did they get bonuses? The company's so bad shape now, Bank of America is wondering how to get more money from us, the taxpayer, to help bail them out now. He paid his chauffeur $230,000 a year. I'll tell you what, that guy must be able to drive really good, because he ranks right up there probably with the NASCAR drivers. A chauffeur making $230,000 a year. Maybe he's some kind of security guy too. Another example, this one really crawls under me, is these AIG executives took all this bailout money, went to the islands and partied hardy and had these big mega multi-thousand, actually probably $100,000 retreats on taxpayer money. Now I see this commercial on TV, talks about the CEO surfer who's complaining about, the money situation is like a big wave crashing on them. I'm like, hey dude, what are you doing sitting out on the beach anyway, surfing, using our taxpayer money? It should be crashing on you, taking advantage of the bailout money. Ford Motor CEO was on an interview I saw not too long ago. Said, Ford's done a great job, even though there's not really a gas saver car in the Ford line right now. It's definitely not an electric car, but there should be one within 2 to 3 years. But yet they still get executive bonuses, and the Ford CEO still thinks that they're doing a great job, even though they've known since the 70s that we needed to do something about gas saver cars. In Britain, they did a bailout, and they required the top 4 executives of each corporation leave the company before they would give money. They need to do something similar in the United States. Wages for executives is rising, just like professional sports, except the executives can be losers and still get millions. Oh, well, wait a minute. The athletes can lose too, I guess, and still get their millions. So, do we expect the same from President Obama administration? Maybe so, since the new Secretary Treasurer forgot to pay his taxes 4 out of 7 years. I hope Obama's not the same kind of dark bush that we've had in our yard for the last 6 years. If you own stock, tell your board of directors, fire the greedy, poor-performing executives. Unfortunately, most of the people probably on these boards are some of those same poor, greedy, poor-performing executives. And that's the way I feel. And with that, we're going to turn it over to SoulSurvivor, the band on the Modern Renaissance Man Show. Glad you're here to turn us into some good tunes.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the flowers are dying. It's you must go and I must buy. But come on back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow, and I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. But if you come and all the flowers are dying, and I am dead, as dead I will maybe, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say a prayer there for me, and I will hear those soft tread above me, and then my grave shall richer, sweeter be, for you will bend and tell me that you love me, and I will rest in peace until you come to me.
Excellent tunes from SoulSurvivor. Glad you stayed with us. I'm Ben Copeland, Modern Renaissance Man. Let me bring in co-host EdFox. Come on out and join the show. All right, Ed. Woohoo! What you know good?
They were good.
They're great.
I really like that.
Yes, they are. Made me want to cry.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that shirt that Shane is wearing too. I almost wore mine. I'm glad that we called each other ahead of time.
Yeah.
And worked that thing out.
It really, it would have been sort of strange. You know. So what else has been going on with you here? Here we're probably, I imagine this first time this show airs is probably somewhere around March, April 2009. Any fun times that you've had since then?
Oh yeah, too many to number.
We're shooting like
right
January.
let me do this date in history and.
Oh, here we go.
This date, and I want to read this so I get my facts straight. So the historians quit calling us. So I got the facts down now. So many people know that William Howard Taft, did you know this? He was the first president to throw out a first pitch on the opening day of professional baseball season. That was back in 1910. You didn't know that? Play along, though.
He's a little big, though,
Oh,
wasn't
yeah,
he?
we knew that. Yes, he was also the fattest president. But did you know that on this day in history, in 1840, President Martin Van Buren became the first sitting president to throw out the first pitch in a professional game of rounders, the ball game that later evolved into baseball, of course. And his throw was caught by rounder all-star bowler, that was one of the positions, Robert E. Lee. Yes, that Robert E. Lee.
That
yes.
Robert Lee,
Future general. Lee was a college student at the time who took summers off to play for the Virginia Dirt Daubers of the National Rounders League. It's reported that during the Civil War, Lee used to play rounders as a mental diversion from planning battle strategies. And that is this day in history.
All right. So students,
Like to
watch
be
out on
educated.
your American history exams. Pay attention to Robert Lee. And Van Buren was the one that threw the ball out.
First rounders ball thrower.
First round for Robert E. Lee.
Guy.
And okay, wow. There's little known facts I didn't know much about.
Hey, have you been to a Bobcats game yet?
No, I have not. The only time I've been in that arena was the Women's League, their last game.
Really?
They used to be there.
Didn't make that.
And
Was Muggsy Bogues the coach then?
yep, he was the final coach. I was their final night in Charlotte, and I didn't even know it was going to be the final night until we had decided to go.
You think they were waiting for you to show up, and then they could leave?
I guess so, but I don't know. I enjoyed it about as much as what I hear what's going on with the Bobcats.
Yeah, the Bobcat. I've been to 2 Bobcats games because somebody gave me free tickets to both of them, and I had a good time. But it's so expensive to go. I think that's where.
Well, see, I was to say that I was actually a charter member for the Charlotte Hornets for 13 years.
Yeah, I enjoyed.
I went on the beginning. I liked when they had the Coliseum in a place you could get in and out of.
Yep.
And out on Toddlala, at the time when we had 3 Coliseums or thereabouts.
Yeah.
I liked it out there. As much as people didn't like George Shinn, I thought that he was actually pretty good for the customers. He had good customer service. You always got free little brochures. Little programs.
Right.
They had the players' information. There's always really neat stuff. You always got T-shirts and cool stuff like that.
A lot of people have forgotten how excited it was. Everybody was about the Hornets being there.
There was actually pretty neat. And I really got annoyed. To me, his biggest mistake that he made was that he had the opportunity to have Michael Jordan come in. And he didn't want to give Michael Jordan controlling interest of the team for making decisions on players. And I think that's when they started downhill. Was that if he'd gone ahead and brought, because at that time Jordan was in his real heyday. That was the end. He had just retired, and people would have gone out there just to see if Jordan would have shot a ball during warm-ups just to watch him.
I worked down in the Coliseum that first year. I was working concessions on certain nights, and I'd go in and the concessions would close at the end of the third quarter, and so you'd get everything counted for inventory, and then you could make it out for like the last two minutes of the game. It's really all you need to watch an NBA game. So I saw the endings of some great games.
Well, as you said, I always stayed. Having spent that much money for tickets, I stayed to the very end of all of them. And but sometimes you'd see even the losing seasons for Charlotte. That was back in the days you had the killer McHale's and Larry Birds and
Dr. K.
Oh
Tim
man,
Kempton.
yeah, you had some killer people, and they would do some outrageous stuff at the end of the game. They're up 20 points, getting ready to go out. They do some great stuff. So. I hang around. Now my name's on one of those cats down there for the Panthers. I hung around them for a couple of years, and I sold the PSL. That was just way too pricey.
Yeah.
For me, that's an expensive hobby to go see the Panthers.
Well, I keep waiting for somebody to give me free tickets, but it hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So if you're out there, you want to give me free tickets, then.
Well, that's just it. We didn't bring a movie, So for those of you that missed the movie review tonight, our producer was slack and didn't go by and pick a movie up at the library. The library is the best place to go to get movies and books and tapes and music and support your library. The library is great. It's the best thing in Charlotte, probably. I think it's still better. It's better than the Bobcats to me. And probably the Gold Rush shuttle is pretty cool. That's the freebie ride that carries me to my parking lot when I get off from work. But the library price is great unless you're late.
Yeah.
You know,
You
so
can
go to
ride
the library.
the gold thing to the library, can you?
And we had talked about websites a while. You got your website, MySpace/Fox Comedy.
MySpace.com/FoxComedy.
And then we have a website for this show, www.mrmtv.org. Check it out, and you'll see stuff about Ed, and you'll see stuff about the band SoulSurvivor that's joined us. Send some email, mrm@together.net. And if you send me some email, I promise you'll get a response back. Just like George Bush responded back to me that time I sent him some.
Yes.
You know, which was
Couldn't
pretty
make it on the
phenomenal.
show.
That's right. We got some specials coming up. We got might have already actually aired the Modern Renaissance Man bunch of mobile projects. We've got the SoulSurvivor dedication special.
You can watch that one.
I have to watch that one. I wish we had the airplane project, but there's no airplane in sight so far. We have no Modern Renaissance Man airplane coming.
Yeah.
I lost my
Not yet.
I lost my Scientologist book, and somewhere in there is the steps
The key to the airplane.
to how to get the airplane. And so without the Scientology book, I don't know how I'm going to get my airplane.
Like you have to
You know.
do something with a volcano.
Yeah, I mean, you know that, and I mean, I could try to call up John Travolta or
Maybe.
Tommy Cruise and see how they come up with theirs. I mean, they're Scientologists, and they got them. And the only email I really got, and that was the thing is, in our first year of the show, the email I got was from a guy who thought it was really funny. He called up his brother, who was a Scientologist, and said, "How'd you get your airplane?" His brother's actually had his second airplane was a Scientologist. I'm like, see, there's something in there. We just lost the Renaissance Man host cam.
There goes the
Glad it's
budget.
carpeted back here. All right, guess what? We're going to have to find a new supporter for the show. Anyway,
You know, you made reference to Max Headroom on the last show.
Yes, I did.
I remember that show.
that was in the 80s.
It sure was.
Blipverts.
was.
That's when we start cramming the commercials in. We were just talking about during the break, Dean and I runs audio, about this guy's going to do the 1 second beer commercials
Yeah.
during the Super Bowl.
30 of them.
I don't know. Is that the
In a
best
row.
one? I guess his idea is like $1 million for 30 seconds or something. So I guess they're just going to dump out some chump change for a second
Yeah.
and hope everybody catches it. So you see some kind of beer thing flash in front of you. You know that was.
Well, if you
The
got
1
DVR,
second.
you can slow it down. So
That's
you can watch
true, and actually hear what he has
it.
to
I'll do
say.
that.
You know, rumor has that New York and New Jersey are suing North Carolina for lost tax revenue because of all the people that have relocated from those states into
Hadn't
this
heard
area. Yeah, so I know Charlotte's fighting back, saying that you're welcome to take them back. Some of them are anyway, but so yeah, they're actually getting into trouble up there in their
Send them on
states
buses back.
because they're coming down here.
Send them on a gold rush.
Here's one. I was watching the Weather Channel recently, and you know, I get really annoyed sometimes with newsreaders. And the Weather Channel is sort of the weather show now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they've got everything on the Weather Channel. It's not just weather. It's hard to actually find it when they do the weather. It's because of the other stuff. But there was this person who was standing there, and they were talking about the show, and they were making a comment about the weather and the picture that was on that was flashing, and they were saying, obviously, something about the White House, and they were talking about it. And the interesting thing was the picture was of the Capitol building, and it wasn't the White House. I'm like, obviously, you need to go to Washington and learn
Right.
your monuments.
Get that Photoshop working better.
I can't believe that CMS is actually going to buy books in foreign languages and then turn around and charge people
Yeah, with the books.
to buy books. That one's killing me.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing about CMS or being a teacher these days is that you're not likely to lose your job, I guess. You're not going to hear about CMS laying off 1,000 people at a time.
Now here's one for you. Why can't we have multiple health insurance
How's that work?
companies? You know, they don't allow that. And then that's sort of a scam. Why can't you buy, you know,
If our band wanted health insurance,
No, it's like-
collectively, but I think that's how they should.
no, what I was talking about was you have health insurance from somebody and they have a deductible, and say your deductible, say for prescriptions, $250 deductible a year for your prescriptions. Well, you can get another insurance company that would pay the deductible.
Just the 250.
You know, and it seems like you could actually, you know what, and they say, well, you know, they'll only process one. So, for example, like if you and your significant other had insurance, well, both of you had health insurance and both of you were covered, they'll only take one of them to file. They won't allow you to file the other one. I mean, you're paying for the insurance. Why not let it just pay it all outright? So I mean, like I said, rather you get real in debt and lose your house and and all of that.
So it's a
versus
privilege
pay
to
the
have
bills.
insurance, maybe.
And cars are sort of the same thing. Why do the car companies with insurance get to dictate to you how much your car's worth? That is a real scam. And you don't have hardly anything to say about that. Because I've had quite a few cars hit by other people.
Right.
And I remember I had one, this guy, he smashed my car, and had no fault of me. And basically the guy called me up and said, well, this is what I think your car's worth. And I'm like, well, you're crazy. And at the time, I didn't know enough about this vehicle. He said, well, they're all over the place. You can find them all over. As it turns out, you couldn't.
Right.
And it was an old Mercedes, and I didn't know how few of them there actually were. And then he turns around and says, well, I've made you an offer. Your car's in the salvage yard. Starting today, you are responsible for every daily charge on that vehicle. We are no longer responsible.
What a scam.
And I'm like, you're getting ready to run the price of the salvage yard worth more than the car. And they knew it, because I talked to a lawyer. And the lawyer said, well, they know they got you. And said, yeah, you can go in, you can file the insurance commission. And they'll tell you, yeah, you're in the right. And said, and you'll pay some lawyer the amount of money
Yep.
or more than what you would get to get the situation corrected. That's a scam.
That's a scam and a
So
half.
people wonder why. And I'm all against people who basically try to rip off the insurance companies. But, they need to be fair back the other way for people who are trying to be honest.
That's exactly right. I have a friend who's a lawyer who worked in insurance, and he said they're out.
And you admit
doing
that.
anything.
You admit.
Yeah, he doesn't work for him anymore. I admit that too.
Okay.
But he said that they are out to do whatever they can to not have to pay. So
I had some short-term disability insurance with the company, and I was reading their annual report. And in their annual report, they actually said that they were planning to increase revenues by turning down claims. And I called up the guy that I bought the insurance from. I said, are you familiar with this? Of course, he wasn't. I said, cancel today.
yeah,
I said, there's no use in me paying for short-term insurance that they're
If you
going to
can't
turn right
get it.
out if I can get it,
Right.
So, rip off. Another one that I think is sort of annoying to me right now, I said, if you get put on a prescription, say you have high blood pressure, you have diabetes, and you basically know the medications you're probably pretty much going to take for the rest of your life, right? Well, you still have to go to a doctor annually and pay that doctor to have some kind of physical to turn around and renew that prescription. Now, what happens when that doctor retires or dies?
you got to get a new doctor.
You got to get in a doctor, and you go through all of that additional costs and stuff like that.
Yep.
To me, once they basically said your medication's stable, you ought to be able to sign a waiver and says, I'll take this one's fine, and if I feel worse, I'll go back to the doctor. Instead of having to keep going back.
I'm with you.
Anyway, well, while we're griping and getting ready to get on our own soapboxes here again, I think it's about time to wrap up the show. As usual, I always want to thank the crew, the camera people. Without them, this show would not happen. Dano, my director, Dean on audio. I think that Kimberly is back there now on audio with Dean. Anyway, Jennifer manages the green room, Kate S. Copeland, Roman host cam operator, Blurb Show co-host, and especially my co-host EdFox.
Good to be back.
Good to see you. And unfortunately, Ed's going to miss out on our next taping. So if you don't see Ed for a couple shows coming, don't fret.
I'm
He'll
just
be
in
back.
Arizona.
He's just traveling,
Yep.
going out and gathering more stories to share with us on the
And
show.
rocks.
And with that, we're going to go out on some great music from SoulSurvivor, Shayna, Ari, Janine. I'm Ben Copeland, the Modern Renaissance Man. Have a great evening.